Good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started this morning. We are in a different setup as we were last week. I am traveling again. Last week I was in a conference in Las Vegas. This week I'm in a conference in Denver. And so hopefully the system all works and everything's set up. I apologize for the lighting. This room doesn't have super great lighting, but we're going to go ahead and make this work anyway. Will you please put it in the chat in the comment section and make sure that everybody can hear me and that I'm live. It took me a minute to get all of my systems together and make sure that we're coming across. And I want to make sure that that is all working on your end as well. I'm super excited to be here with you this morning. This morning's topic on our Grow with Google class is making your website work for you. And it's a fun class, it's an exciting class, especially if you either own a business. If you already have a website, great. This will only help infuse your website with more ideas on how to make it better and work for you as a business. If you don't have a website at all, this is a great starting point because we're going to go over some very, very specific details. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our co-hosts this morning, the Rural Online Initiative here at Utah State University, as well as our partnership with Grow with Google. We appreciate them creating this content. I am lucky enough to be able to teach it, but they are the ones that create the content. A little bit about me. My name is Megan McFall. I am the Regional Director of the Small Business Development Center in Southeastern Utah. I cover the Four Corners area, Grand San Juan County. I work with Ute Mountain as well as Navajo Nation, so I cross over a little bit into the other local states, but mostly I work in the Utah area. I have a background in small business. I've owned several different businesses in multiple different industries and sectors. I'm mostly going to talk about my own businesses, unless those that are on with us live would like to put information in the comments, or I love to hear when you guys like to come in and break in. Monday's my teaching day, and so I teach a lot and I get tired of the sound of my own voice. So if you feel like you want to come in and ask a question pertaining to your business, please do. Most of my examples today will be either presented by Google within the slides, or our experiences here in the Four Corners area, or my own business experiences as we move forward. Okay, so today, more than ever, small businesses are getting online, connecting with consumers, and driving sales. COVID taught us anything, we need to have an online presence and to be able to drive those multiple streams of income with our businesses, whether that's creating an online presence so people know where we're at and where to find us, or we're actually doing sales online through e-commerce. If you were looking to build an e-commerce class, I encourage you to take my e-commerce building sales through e-commerce class. We go how to build a website on e-commerce. Okay, so what goes into a website design? There are multiple different things to think about when you're building a website design. Everything from the functionality of your website, to the content that you put in it, and does it drive SEOs, and does it utilize the keywords that people are looking for when they're looking for your business, as well as the layout, the functional layout. Depending on what industry you're in, the layout may change. Things to be thinking about are different graphics that you're going to put on your website, the colors, the brand your business, that people are going to be thinking about as they look at your site and look at your social media. There should be a seamless crossover between your brand, colors, and your website, as well as all other platforms that you're looking to be online. And last but not least, the font. You should have a business or a brand font that you're utilizing in your marketing, in your website, things like that. All these things brought together is what creates your website, but also creates a sense of brand identity for your business. Okay, if you have not created a brand, go back and take my personal branding class. We go over how to brand and how to create those different aspects. Okay, a great website will be goal-oriented. How will your website grow your business? You need to know that before you go into building your website, so you make sure that it includes the elements that will help drive that. It needs to be organized. Is your site easy to navigate? Can people find what they're looking for easily, or does it take a while to figure that out? Okay, is it useful? Does your site have useful content for your customers? Next is functional. Is your site does your website do useful things? What are people going to your website to do? Are they looking to get answers? Are they looking to buy product? Are they looking to interact with you? Those are the kind of things to consider when putting that website together. And does it do that? Intuitive. Is it easy to use your site on all devices? Something that we've made a huge switch. Sorry, I'm really struggling this morning. It's Monday morning. A huge switch in the last few years is we've gone from a desktop-based society into the more mobile. We're looking at tablets, and our phones. Let's be honest, if your website is not mobile, then we need to adjust and make that switch, because the majority of your customers will probably access your website through their mobile device. The best thing about Google Analytics is it tells you what devices that your website is being accessed on. And it's important for you to know that, to make sure that it is intuitive with that device as well. And then search friendly. Can search engines find your site? That goes back to your SEOs, that goes back to how well it performs, and testing your site on a regular basis to see how it performs on Google and the different sites is important, so that you can make those adjustments. Because setting up a site is great and wonderful, and it can be perfect on day one, but over time your SEOs will lag off. But you need to have constant updating for that in order to have that happen. You need to check your performance on a regular basis. Things like that, so that you can make adjustments. Okay, having a great goal-oriented website. So let's talk about this. First, you obviously want to build a brand. We talked about that a little bit in that first slide. You know, what colors are you going to go with? What type of photography, your fonts, things like that are all built into that. But it also goes with that brand recognition, right? Think about the brands that you recognize the most, and what they've gone through in order to create that. So that you can just see that signal or that motto that they might have, and you know exactly who they are immediately. Okay. It should generate leads, make sales for you, re-engage your customers through that process, and then attract employees as well. Many of us, as we build and scale, we need to be able to attract employees, and does your website do that for you? Okay. And then last but not least, provide support. Okay, who is your target audience? Taking some time to define this is going to be really important. How do they act? What do they think? How do they live? All of those little details are really important, because that determines the content that you add in, the searchability, how you put that into place. And I'm super excited to see when businesses go through and they search this out in detail. Defining your audience narrowly helps you get a better return on investment. How see the world like they do. So take a step back and be in their shoes for a minute. Going to your site for the first time. What are you looking for? What kind of searches do you need? What information do you want really at fingertips, so that you don't have to search through it? And understand their emotions and their motives behind what they're looking for, but also their desires. Okay, these are the things that make us purchase. These are the things that make us look deeper into services. And these are the things that you're going to want to know about your target audience. Okay, how will you measure your success? You've got to be able to have a way to measure your success, so that you know whether what you're doing is working or you need to make adjustments. Okay, are you tracking online sales? Are you collecting form submissions maybe for an email list or a newsletter that you send out? Are you monitoring phone calls and where they're getting that information from? Or are you measuring engagement? So these are some options that you can use, but they need to be specific to the goal that you chose in the first part. What is the purpose of your website? And make sure that those goals are, and your tracking is specific, but also realistic to what you have going on in your business. If you put this huge wonderful tracking system, data analytics based tracking system. I've had experience with this recently. I hired a data analytics degree person at the center, and he put in these amazing systems in place for tracking marketing, but we weren't putting marketing out. And so they weren't being utilized. And so we have to be realistic in where we are right now. And then how can you track and measure that success through these tracking systems that you have? Okay, don't put something in place that's going to hinder your ability to take care of business. It's just like I say, you've got to be able to add it to your life and master it right now based on where you're at, not in the future potential of where you're looking to be. Okay, make sure you're using your Google Analytics. Google Analytics gives you so much information that helps you make decisions based on information rather than guessing, which is so important. So make sure that you engage with that with your website. You can learn the search terms that people are using to getting to your website. Then you can take those same search terms and go back and reevaluate your website and think, I really am not saying anything about that in my website. I need to make an adjustment there. You can go through and kind of reevaluate how you're looking at things. Okay, you can see your demographic information. I had one business come in that would have swear that her perfect demographic was here in Utah, but when we sat down and we followed her analytics for a month, her perfect demographic was actually in Kansas. And she was not doing any marketing in Kansas. She had more people coming to her website out of that location rather than in Utah. And so we adjusted some of her ROI and some of her marketing, and it made an entirely different scenario for her. Her perfect target audience that she knew she had was out in Kansas, not in Utah. So be thinking about those different things, and that your target audience may change based on this type of information. And that helps you with your return on investment. Okay. Understand what content your audience is looking for and is interested in. That's going to be very, very important. And that might change over time. Again, a website you need to look at as a living, breathing thing. You're going to make adjustments on a regular basis, but that is good. In order for your website to SEO, you have to add new content on a regular basis. So making adjustments is a good thing in order to help you with your SEOs. Okay, and then evaluate which channels are driving the conversation. Is it your social media channels? Is it organic searches? How are your conversations being driven through your website? And then you can use that same information to get a better return on investment for your marketing. Okay, so I have an entire class on Google Analytics. So we're not going to do a deep dive into Google Analytics, but this is going to give you some basic information. If you've never done Google Analytics before, you can go g.co/analytics. It'll take you to the mainframe. Make sure when you're signed in to Google, your account there in the right-hand corner, make sure it's your account that you use for business. A lot of times people don't check that, and so they'll set up their Google Analytics to their personal account, or they will set it up to their children's account, since children's a lot of kids are doing the remote thing from time to time, or they've moved a lot of things over to the Google Classroom. So make sure that it's your account and the one you want it hooked up to. Okay, you can click start for free. You go through and you set up your website properties, and then you follow the instructions from there. Okay, there are several trainings out there. I teach a training as well on how to utilize Google Analytics. Okay, so within your Google Analytics, when you pull that up, it will do a quick basically update on the background of your website. So you can go in and you can do a demographic report almost immediately. So then who is your target audience? Well, you can see who your target audience is based on if you've already got a website up and running. This is key. You can do that based on what is coming in and what has been searching on your website before. Okay. So a great website is organized. Okay, you want to make sure that it's organized and it follows the information architecture, or the IA. Okay, it is a way to organize your information on your site that achieves your business goals. So I work a lot with artisans down here in southeastern Utah. They make absolutely beautiful jewelry. It's a website that we put it together all the time. And so as part of that, we kind of have a basic structure, right? And so we have a homepage for the jewelry store. Okay, then we have an about, which is about the artist or about the business, the background, because that's important. That gives you that's the business story, that you can even feel that's that emotional, the desire we talked about in the beginning, that can be part of this about page, right? Then we have the products. The reason why people are coming to this website is to purchase that products, but we don't want to just throw all the products together, right? We want to separate that out. So in ours, we have rings, we have a separation of watches, we have separation of necklaces. We probably would have, depending on the artist, have a separation of like earrings, things like that. You would separate it out so people can find the products easily. And then last but not least, have a contact. A lot of times people have questions that aren't answered on your website. So have the ability to contact your business and to be able to ask those questions or find out if they can get a special piece created for them, whatever that looks like. But giving them that opportunity makes a big difference within your website. Okay, so tips for organizing your website. Okay, we're going to use this website here on the right. It's a crafting type website, material, things like that. So for quilts, okay. So use short, descriptive names and labels. Okay, a lot of people like to get really flowery and fancy with their description and their labels. And the truth is you don't need to be. They can be short and simple, and they can add value to the person. Okay. Will you provide a link to the slides or the YouTube presentation? Okay, so I don't provide the slides. Thanks for asking that question, Joe. I don't provide the slides because Google changes the slides fairly regularly on me, and you'll find out really quickly as I go through and I'm like, oh, that's a new one. But I do put them up on YouTube, and our YouTube channel is USU Spark. If you want to ask for me at the end in the current Q&A session, I'll give you a direct link to our YouTube channel, but we do put all of them up on YouTube. I do have the closed caption on today through Zoom. We're trying that out. We do have to close caption all of our videos, so it might take a little bit to get up. But we're getting that going today. And I am Megan McFall. I am the Regional Director of the Small Business Development Center down in the Four Corners area of Utah. And I also run the Spark Center out in Blanding. So those are just kind of a little bit of who I am. Okay, so next would keep the most important information on the main navigation. Okay, think about what your customers are going to go to immediately or directly. Those are the two things that you're going to want to think about: the Q&A, immediate, and then the direct questions. Okay, in this particular case, they have like the fabric, and they have like yardage and different things like that, because that's what their clientele are looking like. In the previous thing, we talked about the about us section, the products, and the contact. We kept it very, very simple. You don't have to have a super elaborate website. You can keep it fairly basic, but as long as you're showing your clientele what they need and giving them the information that they need. Okay, keep site visitors in mind. Again, put yourself back in their shoes and how are they going to navigate that information. Okay, and where and how would you look for this information as a site visitor? Remember, everything you're going to do is being as a site visitor within this. Okay, a great website is useful. 46% of American people say they would not purchase from a brand again if they had an interruptive mobile experience. Okay, that's important. Almost 50% of your clientele, if your website is not mobile, like we talked about in the beginning, then they will not purchase from that brand again. That's scary. If you are not ready for that, then it's time to make some changes. And Google and many other products out there to help you evaluate and navigate that website to make sure that it is ready. Okay, so useful content. Think about the text. Okay, use headlines and bullet points. Again, keeping things more simple. You don't have to get super like creative and flowery with the messaging because you remember you have about 2 to 3 seconds to grab their attention, and then they're on. If you put something super creative and super flowery in, odds are they're probably not going to read it. So keep that in mind. Okay, your images. Make sure you add a photograph gallery. There's nothing that says more than having images of your product or your service. If you have a center or a location, put the images of that location in. And then also videos. Videos have become and kind of taken over a lot of space because people will sit and watch a video long before they'll read a long like introduction or a long instructions on how to do something. So keep that in mind, adding like how-to videos. This is how to use my product, or this is how to do this for specific asset. Add value to the customer first so that they can purchase for you, but know that they're getting a good product. Okay, my business office services. So what type of images should I use? So in those kind of cases, I would look at what type of service that you're offering, your interactions with your clientele, things like that would be, it's kind of the same way. I own a wealth management firm, and we do a lot of interactions between our agents and our clientels. We do some of the lifestyle type imagery versus the specific product. It's worth doing a proper branding and lifestyle photo shoot. So you have really, really great pictures, multiple different outfit changes that you can use for your website, you can use for marketing, you use social media, and you know that it fits your brand and what you want it to look like. If you need a list of poses or list of shots or something like that for looking for a photographer, let me know. I've got a list of that. But it's something that we do on a regular basis for all of our service-based firms because it's important to have that and be proud of the pictures that you're putting out because it creates part of that brand that you're creating. But also ask them for the blooper pictures. Something that we like to see, and a lot of people don't or take or forget, is people like to see the behind the scenes. People like to see the oopses and, oh, it's a rough day and it's not completely perfect, but it still fits your brand. People like to see that. So it's okay to share those, especially in your marketing efforts or your social media kind of behind the scenes. This is what it looks like in my office type of a thing. People like to be authentic and real. So keep that. Sorry, got on a tangent. Sorry. Try to understand your customers, publish useful and original content, use the IA strategy to stay organized, use short descriptive names and labels, again, keeping it simple so you can catch them in 2 or 3 seconds, and then make content visible to search engines. Okay, you can do private, public, make sure that all of your stuff can be picked up by a search engine. Okay, Google Trends. So one of the really cool part of the Google Analytics and the Google Trends is the new Google Trends. Okay, you can compare search query volumes over time. You can incorporate relevant keywords into your website content and connect the searchers. And then you can monitor your brand's popularity too. So having this connection with the Google Trends is important so that you can watch these different things that are happening over time and how your brand is picking up speed. So that's a g.co/trends that you can connect that into as well. Okay, a great website is functional. It's functional. What is what your website can do? So be thinking about this. A site can be searched. Do you have a search bar within your site to help them find what they're looking for quicker? Okay, online form, an online store, and online tools that they can utilize to either better use your product or better connect with your services. So be thinking about those different things. So let's go over a couple of scenarios, and it looks like some of my text got jumbled a little bit. Okay, so scenario 1 is you're running a shoe repair store. People call or visit your shop to get quotes. How can a website help you? Okay, so on your website, you can easily create an online form for people to request a quote. And then by utilizing that, you will slow down the calls, and also you'll give an outlet by marketing properly within your store, a new outlet for people to show, oh, I can go online and get that quote rather than having to walk into the store. Because let's be honest, pretty much every single one of us would rather fill out an online form that we don't have to go someplace for than have to go and track down a quote in any other way. So adding that online form is important. The keywords is making sure that we can get back to them as fast as they're coming in. Okay, scenario number 2, you run a cafe. Many people call and ask about the menu and deliveries. Okay, 2 key questions that are coming up on a regular basis. How can your website help you? Well, on your website, you can publish the answers to a frequently asked questions. You can have a frequently asked questions page and have your question and the answer to follow it. You can also make sure that your website or on your website, your menu is listed, because I don't know about you, but I go to the menu on the website to see what they have available. I'm allergic to pretty much everything. I get teased all the time. I'm allergic to seafood. I'm allergic to every pepper you can possibly imagine. And then I'm allergic to chlorine as well, which means I can't have salt. So I got to make sure that a restaurant can accommodate my weirdness. I can do that through a menu, right? So different things like that. And then adding delivery, making sure people know that's a big thing these days. I have one restaurant in my town that does delivery, and that one restaurant probably gets about 95% of my dine out budget, simply because they'll bring it to me and I'm stuck in the office or whatever that looks like on that night, right? So it's really interesting making sure that that's out there so people can understand and see that. Okay, do's and don'ts of functionality. You do want to add useful functionality. Keep your forms short. Nobody wants to do a 10-page form. Think about a survey. Are you willing to do a 3-question survey or a 20-question survey? Think about that same process as you're putting your forms together. The shorter, the sweeter, the better response you're going to get. Okay, and then make checkout process easy. Go through your checkout process. If you're getting a lot of abandoned carts, think of how many steps your checkout process is. Okay, if it's more than 4 clicks, it's too many. Okay, so give them an option, evaluate what can you take out so that you can get it down to 4 clicks. Because if you go over 4 clicks, you're going to get more abandoned carts unless somebody really, really, really wants your product. Okay, avoid automatic pop-ups. It's one of the worst things. I hate going into a website wanting information and I get a pop-up. Sign up for this, do this, can't wait, blah, blah. Our video starts playing in the background. I have no idea what it is or where it's at or how to shut it off, right? You have to like fish through the site to figure out where it's at. Don't do that. That's not cool. Don't autoplay videos and sounds, but just be you and have it your authentic business, because those kind of things give negative vibes off of your business. Okay. Never sacrifice the user experience for design. I learned this the hard way. Our original wealth management webpage was phenomenal, but it killed the user experience because we had so many videos, we had so many animations that it just performed very, very, very low. It took forever to load because it was just so heavy on content. And so it killed the user experience. It was gorgeous, but it was worthless. Okay, be thinking about that as you're going through and building. A great website is intuitive. Okay, tip number 1, navigation. Okay, highlights selected elements. Okay, make sure that those selected elements are highlighted and they're easy to see. Those are the things that are going to be eye-catching, and it will catch in that 2 to 3 seconds. It'll take them down into the lot more information. Allow plenty of space for users to tap. Isn't it the worst thing in the world to get on your mobile device and have the teeniest little button and us, the fat fingers can't get into that teeny little button? Make sure you consider that when designing like your mobile apps and different things like that. Make sure there's plenty of user space to be able to tap that button. Okay, and then ensure that there's a call to action that can be tapped. Order now, select today, whatever, learn more, whatever that is. Make sure that there is an option for that call to action, because if you don't have those call to actions available readily and easily, then you're going to miss out on a lot of customers. Okay. Number 2, shopping. Okay. Help users backtrack and back into continued shopping mode. Okay? A lot of times when we add something to a cart, it puts us into the cart so we can see our cart, but we can't get back into the shopping mode easily, right? So allow a simple like button that says continue shopping, or back to search or whatever that was, so that they can continue to shop. Because if you don't do that, then you're missing out on additional revenues because they probably saw something that they really liked or they wanted to investigate more. The other thing that's really great to do is recommend similar products. Other people that purchased this product also liked this product, so that they can kind of go together. I had that experience last night. I just bought a bunch of stuff last night I did not need, but I'm going to use it because of this exact same thing. So I got and added the one thing to my cart that I wanted. And down at the bottom, it said, those that purchase this also purchase this. I don't know, check that out and see what that is, right? And I ended up adding like 3 or 4 of them to my cart because they had those great recommendations and they all played off of each other. They could be used together. Think about usability too. Okay, the checkout process, reduce your steps. We already talked about that. Reduce your steps. Okay, show your visitors where they are in the process. Having that 1, 2, 3, 4, and even 5 as it shows on here, so that they know how much longer until they are completed in the process. There's nothing worse than going page after page after page and not knowing when you're finally finished. Okay. And then show or offer guests to check out, a quick checkout rather than having to set up an account and going through all that process. A lot of time, first-time users, when they haven't used your product before, they just want to get in, buy the product, and then get out. They don't want to create up accounts. They don't want to go through all of that. So having a guest checkout is going to be important. Once they fall in love with your product, they're more likely to set up an account. Okay. And then enable digital wallets. We've all moved to this digital thing where we use Google Pay or Samsung Pay or any of those that they have readily available. Well, again, I'm going to get myself in trouble here, but last night when I was shopping, I wouldn't have purchased that stuff if they hadn't taken my Samsung Pay, because I didn't have my wallet with me. I didn't want to I was sitting in bed browsing before I went to sleep. And so if they hadn't accepted what I already had in my system, then I wouldn't have purchased from them. So be thinking about those impulse shopping that you could pick up on. Okay, so responsive design, use the Chrome Inspector tool, okay, to test your website's compatibility with all devices. This is a really, really cool aspect of Chrome Google has set up so that you can see what your website looks like on all devices. So you can choose multiple different devices, so you can make sure, if, again, like there's plenty of room to touch that, they click that button, or there's not enough white space in this particular area, we need to add a little bit more, whatever that looks like. But you can go from different devices, and again, on your analytics, you'll be able to see which device is mostly accessing your website, so you can make those adjustments specifically to the ones that you know your clients are using. Okay, so visit your website and on a Chrome browser, that's key. Okay, right click and then go to inspect. Okay, from there you can toggle over which devices you want to look at. So it'll go from pretty much every one of the popular devices we have available. So you can go through and check and see which one. Okay, use the responsive drop down to select the device that you would like, and then view the website in the different types. So you'll be able to go through and see what it looks like to see your website in those different types. That helps you with your design. That helps you to see how it interacts. Okay, so a great website is search friendly. So 75% of smartphone owners turn to search first to address their immediate needs. How many times have we needed something, picked up our phone and said, hey, Alexa, or we've gone through and just typed it into a quick search really quickly, because these are literally on our sides constantly, right? They're in our purse, they're in our sides, they're in our back pocket. I'm famous for the back pocket thing, right? Okay, 75% of us will just go to our phone and search. So if your website's not coming up on that search, you're missing out on sales. So let's fix that. Okay, how to search for results. So this is essentially the look of what a Google search looks like. So you have the search bar, obviously, okay? You want to search your business to see what comes up and how it looks. So we have the search bar, obviously, we have the ads, and then after the ads, you have the organic search. You need to know where your business comes up and how it looks, what information is being portrayed. And if you need to go into your Google My Business and make adjustments to your profile. Okay, so then on the right side is your Google Business Profile. This is where you get to add your descriptions. You can use keywords. You should be updating this on a regular basis. You should also be posting through Google, just like you're posting through your social media. One of the reasons for this is it actually helps with your SEOs. It adds additional new content information. You can add photos there. You control a lot of that information, and it helps with all of that interaction with your business. So make sure that you control this. And if you don't, get on last week's class, which was get yourself on Google Search and Google Maps so that you can get all of this updated. Okay. Did you say that happens when you host on Google? No. So you can buy your domain through Google. I'm actually teaching that class here in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure exactly what day. I can look before we're done, but no, you can actually have a Google My Business and create that without hosting on Google. You create that separately. We went through all of those instructions last week. I know the website, I know that the video is not up yet because we're still doing the closed caption on that because it has been an incredibly busy week and I've been gone for 2 weeks too. So anyway, yes, so the Google My Business, no worry. So it's the Google My Business, and through your dashboard there, you can basically control and create what goes out on that profile. So your descriptions, you add your photos, again, and there's a post section where you can post updates, you can post events, all of that stuff, post offers. I encourage you to use that just like you would use your social media, because number one, it brings your SEOs up because they utilize that with your SEOs. A lot of people don't know that, so I'm a little secret for you guys. And then number two is that if your competitors are not doing that or not using that, then it puts you one up against your competitors to put yourself higher on those Google searches. So make sure you're doing that. Okay, so behind the scenes, how Google works. So this is kind of how Google works as far as the SEO goes. And it's important that you know this so that you know what you need to do in order to keep your website up to date. So basically, Google has what we call web crawlers, and they find new web pages and they add them to the Google index. Okay, so say they find your web page and they add it to the new Google index. Okay, when you search the Google's algorithm, the search is the index for information. So next two is when you or a client searches for that information. Okay, Google uses 200 plus signals to find the most relevant content. So knowing those 200 plus, and you probably don't need to know all 200, but you need to know some of them so you know which SEOs are going to be the best for your business, right? And so they'll use those 200 plus signals to figure out what is going to be on the top top 10 page, right? Which is where we want to be, top 10 to top 20. You don't want to go any further than 2 pages. And then Google search results are ranked in order by relevance. This is one of the reasons why you want ongoing new information added to your webpage, because it will signal that Google needs to have these web crawlers go through and say, oh, this now relevant, this now relevant, this relevant, and gives you all that information to Google to keep you higher on the SEOs. It meets more, the more of those 200 signals that you meet will put you higher on the page, basically. Okay, so somebody's asking, Shelly is asking for me to repeat the social media pages and your website. Okay, so on Google My Business, when you set up your Google My Business profile, there is a section for posting. within that. You can post an update, which is basically a general post that you would post anytime. You can post an offer, which it might be a sell or a discount, something like that, that you can put out there. Then last but not least, you can post an event. So those are the 3 types of posts you can put on Google. You have to log into Google My Business. It's on your dashboard. It should be right at the top. Again, we went over this in a training last week. As soon as it's up, I hope you watch that so you can see that. But the information, the descriptions, the posts, the pictures, all of those things that you put within those also will help with your SEOs, because it's your Google My Business, your analytics, all that stuff. If you connect all that together, we'll all go together, all work together as one. And so by posting will help your SEOs. And if your competition is not posting on Google, you now have additional posts on Google that they are coming up on Google search. A lot of people don't know that. That's why you're posting there, because what you're bringing up comes up on Google search when somebody Googles or something that is related to that. And so it'll move your business up further. And if your competitor's not using it, you have one advantage against your competitor that they're not using. Okay, you're already creating the content, you might as well use it in multiple places. Okay, so search engine optimization. So fast load time. Big one on search engine optimization. Okay, when I talked about testing your website earlier, this is what I mean. You want to go to g.co/test my site. Okay, by typing that in, you can put your website in and it'll test your website. It'll tell you the SEO performance, it'll tell you your overall performance, it'll tell you your load time, it'll tell you all that. It'll also tell you what you need to fix to improve your website. It's a multiple page report. It does both desktop and mobile, which is really great, because you might have a great desktop website, but it's really not doing well on mobile. And that gives you the opportunity to make that change. So anyway, go to Test My Site, check out your site, see where it ranks, and then listen to what they're telling you to adjust it and see what you can do to do that to help better your results. Okay, adding useful content, publish information-rich content for those that are visiting your site. So a lot of people will tell me the blogs are so 1990s. That may be true, but every website should still have a blog. This is why. You have to post continual, useful content in order to improve your SEOs. So publishing a blog on a weekly, bi-weekly, even a monthly basis is better than nothing, because it adds useful, content-rich information to your site. So something to be thinking about. I know not all of us have the time to sit down and write blogs on a regular basis, but it's going to be important to help with your SEOs. Add that in, and you'll see a huge change in your SEO number. Okay, and then text links. Connect the content to your site, to your site's pages. So for example, when you are posting on social media and you talk about something that's back on your site, give them a direct link. Okay, connecting the contents back and forth is going to be important. Here's another thing that a lot of people don't consider. When you have an article, another creator wrote an article on you on their site, you have a article from say a local newspaper that's going to be digital, things like that. Ask them to connect your link to your website and cross connect. Also, then turn around on your website and connect that article to your website and say, oh, so excited. I'm really grateful for being featured in this article. Check it out, and connect it there. The cross-linking is super important to be able to do. And again, helps boost your audience. You now gained the entire readership of that, whoever published that. So something to think about. Okay. Does the test cost anything? No, the test does not cost anything. You can go on and do that at any time and as many times as you'd like. Okay, next, title page and descriptions. So include your key words for your target audience. Again, you find that through your analytics. And then information, or the IA, of your information architecture of your website. Build and organize your website that Google can see and understand. Okay, Google, their web crawlers basically need to be able to go through your website and see it and understand that information. So keeping things basic, not getting too overly flowery with our words. I call it flowery. People can call it anything you want. I call it flowery. But keeping things so that they can be picked up by the Google web crawlers, because that's going to be important. Making sure that they're very easy to understand. And then all browsers and devices. So design your user experience that works with all browsers and devices. Okay, so search engine console. Most people haven't heard about this one yet. The Search Engine Console, to monitor, maintain, and troubleshoot your site presence on Google search results. Okay, this again helps with your SEOs. To do this, you go to g.co/search console. All of these things I'm talking about today, by the way, are free. Okay, you just have to go in and set them up, and then you also have to connect it all together. Google will not automatically connect things together. You have to give permission to connect them together. It's for your privacy and for your security that they do that. That way, if somebody else thinks that they can go in and use your site or use your thing and then connect it to somewhere else, then it doesn't work for them, because they have to have those, you have to have permissions to connect to all of your stuff together. If they think that they're going to be able to set something up and then connect, say, to your analytics so that they can mess things up for you, or whatever that might look like, they're not able to do it. You need to go in and give those permissions. Also, and another thing, when you're sharing to have other people be users on your account, never give them ownership. You need to be the one that maintains the highest level. Everybody else is the second highest level, because if you give them the highest level, then they can kick you off. I had a marketing firm kick me off of my own site, and it took me a long time to get it back. So things to think about. Okay, as part of this Google Search Console, you can confirm that Google can find you. Okay, you can confirm that the crawlers are on your site and searching through your site. Okay, you can request indexing, a new or updated site content. So like, for example, you just post a blog, you can go in and say, hey, search my site again, index my site again. Okay, so you're adding new information. A lot of people don't know that you can request that. Okay, view your Google search traffic, the data that's coming in through Google search, where they're coming from, all of those analytics that are so important. And then you can also receive email alerts of any Google encountered issues as they're going through and trying to build your information up on their indexing. So those are some things that are important about this particular aspect of Google. Again, setting it up and connecting it to all your other stuff is something that is important. So in order to do that, you go to g.co/search console. You add your website property, and then you tell Google which pages you would like it to crawl by updating the site map. So those are some information on how to do that and get that started. So this is essentially what the dashboard looks like within the Search Console. You get a performance report, and that performance report shows the site and shows how your site is performing essentially on Google search. So you'll know exactly where your SEOs are. Okay, next is the URL inspector. Okay, this will check your page, and then you can learn and see how Google sees your website. And then next is the mobility, or the mobile usability. Say that 5 times fast. Okay, identifies pages with mobile capabilities and issues. So again, this is a great place to see if your page has any mobile issues that you might need to correct. Okay, so how does this all work together? So we talked about multiple different tools that Google has today. Some of them we taught today, some of them we just talked about today. So you have your main website, and these are some that we talked about. So we talked about Google My Business for a minute, and how that shows up on Google search. That's one way. Okay, the next is you have your media, whether that is YouTube is the one we're showing here, but you also have all your other social media outlets that are not Google related, but you have your social media, and then you have your Google search that takes people to your website, and then you have Google ads that you can add to that. I teach a class called Learn the Basics of Google Ads. If you are doing any marketing on social media, you want to take that class so that you can add a bigger, broader scale of Google ads to your marketing list of things that you can do. So these are kind of essentially how these all drive traffic to your website, and having them all set up properly can be a very powerful tool to a business to be able to build and grow. Okay, some next steps. Let's talk about that. Next steps is make a list of goals. What do you want your website to accomplish? Okay, select an intuitive design for your website. There's a lot of designs out there that are templates that you can utilize, and if one of those fits your needs, great. If one of them's close and you need to make some adjustments, most of them are adjustable. Again, you can build from scratch and have something totally uniquely different. That's totally up to you. Okay, plan information architecture. Make sure you do the IA of your website. Create useful content. Again, make sure you're following the keywords through your Google Analytics and including that as you're writing your content. That'll help bring that up and identify that within the searches. Okay, add useful functionality. Again, make sure you plan out that functionality within your website, and then be search engine friendly. Go through those processes to make sure that your website is as search engine friendly as possible. Okay, so it looks like that is all the information that I have for you today. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Are there any questions that I did not answer, or that that might have come up as we were talking today? Awesome, Shelly. I'm so glad that I got all your questions. Looks like I got Emily's questions answered as well. I'm gonna go over to our social media pages and check and see what I missed over there. The best part about joining us live is that I get to answer your questions live. If you join us on social media, you have to wait till I am done, basically, before I can check out your question. So
I had a quick question. So earlier you said something about having a private or public site, but that is searchable or Googleable or something.
Yeah, so you can do aspects of your site that are private that are not searchable. Like, for example, I always go back to my own uses, right? So I own a wealth management firm. There's sections of my site that are private that only my agents have access to, whereas the main site is public and it's Google searchable. The private site, it's not. And it's just a page that is unseen, and the only way to get to that is knowing how to get to that. But we put training materials and things like that on that page. If a, say, customer happened to onto those pages, it's fine. It's just additional information on services and things like that. But that information is not searchable within our site. So it's just a matter of whether you do it when you publish it, whether you publish it private or public. Sorry, lost my train of thought.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
And then a second question. You talked some about like making new content, posting new things and like blogs and stuff so that you can have, you know, your SEO go up. What if you're just like a freelancer who doesn't who finds most work through networking and referrals, and you just want to have a website just to have that online presence for the moment when someone Googles you, they look for 2 seconds and then they're like done. So if would you in that case say that you need to like make sure your SEO goes up and up, or is it kind of like once you know, if I had just have my name Emily Eshraghi and then like that's it?
You could take that either way. By having a website, it opens up new opportunities for you to get work. But if you're not looking to do that, you just want to have a site, you can just have a site. That just depends on, again, it goes back to those goals of the website that you're looking for. So if your goal is just to have a site that you can get people to look at. But here's the other thing to be thinking about. A lot of people these days are vetting further than just going to a website. They're Googling and things like that. And if your website's not showing up when they Google keywords for things that they're looking for, or things that you say you specialize in, that might hurt if you're not utilizing additional SEOs and building that so that you're showing up higher. Just something to think about that way. I think it depends on which areas you're in.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense.
Our other classes that you mentioned earlier listed on Meetup or elsewhere. So we list all of our classes on Eventbrite. And all of our classes Google-wise are currently posted through the end of the year. And I may be able to pull the website to give you the main overall. These are my normal screens, and so they're not quite set up the way I'm used to. Yeah, I know I'm following me already. It's not letting me into the main site. There we go. Okay. So if you use this link right here, it should take you to our main Google Events page. And then, like I said, we've got all of our events, all of our classes listed out for the rest of the year. When it comes to Google, because I partner with so many other entities, I plan those out a year in advance. And so they're all listed up there. There may be one or two in the fall that I may have to cancel or move just because of conferences and things like that. But I really try, that's why I do it at 9 o'clock Monday morning. Generally, I can maneuver my conferences around at 9 a.m. Monday morning. But every once in a while, I do have to move one or have somebody else teach. That's what I'm working to do. It just takes time. So that's where we post them all. No problem. No problem. It looks like Emily's got another question.
Yes, hi, thanks so much. Basically, I'm wondering, so I've joined a few of these kind of Google and website workshops and stuff, and I'm a little bit confused on how you actually set the SEO up. Like if I wanted to do like I always think in hashtags, like, is it like that, or like where do you actually put those keywords in? Is it actually in the text of your website, or can you
in the text of the website
hashtags?
Yeah, it's in the text of your website. Yeah.
Okay, so if you had a very simple website that said like, I'm a romantic dramedy writer, and that was it, that would be the only SEO words possibilities you would have.
I would go, that's one of the reasons why connecting your analytics is important, because it'll give you additional like website or additional key term searches that are coming to your website. And then if there's not on there, then you can add those and make those adjustments. But Google Analytics will give you a list of keywords that are currently, but they change over time, right? And so that's why if you go and you look at that and like, oh, I'm not using that one, or I never thought of that one, then you can go in and you can either add another sentence or adjust your description. Maybe it's time to just for it all upgrade to your description, things like that. But the cool part is you can do it on your website, and you go over to Google My Business and do it on your business profile. And then if you do it on your social media, that's 3 places now that you're showing up with that keyword. And so it just amplifies your ability.
Okay, so you can't, like, do a hashtag for a picture or other things that's only, or like you can't just generally be like hashtag this, that, and the other for your web page. It's only the text on your site.
Pretty much. You can put text linked to your pictures, which is highly encouraged. So you can do that within your pictures, and that will be picked up. So be thinking of that when you're doing pictures on your website.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much.
No problem. Joe, what can I answer for you?
I just wanted to interject there. It's also important to include your meta descriptions, include your keywords and information in your meta, all that data, the open graph data and all that stuff too.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It definitely is. And I am not super like knowledgeable on how to do that. I know it's important to do that, but I hire people to do that because it's not something that I super know how to do. And so, yeah, I fall short on that one.
Depending on the platform, it's pretty easy, but it's important, as you know, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah, it's a big part. It's a big part of accessibility as well, because that is what like the readers for the blind read the websites and things like that. And so if you don't have your pictures like that, you actually open yourself up to lawsuits. And a lot of people don't know that. You need to make sure that your website is accessible to all disabilities, including the blind, and different things like that. So be thinking about that.
Since you touched on that legality stuff, I was thinking about this earlier. I know it's not a Google thing, but it impacts every website. And I've got customers that, I'm developing for it. And I hate these. I really hate these, but I know they're a necessary evil now. Is those stupid pop-ups, about the terms and conditions and privacy. Oh, I hate those. But I just got a notification the other day that I forget the state, but there's another state in the US here that's enacting laws. For those that don't know, there's new laws popping up in just about every state. California's got, it's like the typical fine
first on some of those.
The typical fine per incident is like $2,500 if you mishandle someone's private data and you get caught. And so, yeah,
it's scary, some of the stuff that's coming up. But if you watch California, they're usually the first to start it, and then it spreads. So if you reality, so I have offices in California. So we when I was really heavily involved in those offices, then I had to keep up with that. Like it was kind of scary. To answer your question, Emily, it depends on what you're offering. Like, for example, for me personally, these are just personal opinions. For a e-commerce business, I encourage Shopify. It's got the most versatility. It connects directly with Google. They do have a partnership to connect directly with Google. So then your stuff will show up on the Google Shopping. A lot of people don't know that. For yours, honestly, if you're just wanting a basic site, I would just go with the Google sites, honestly, because it doesn't sound like you're doing anything too crazy, and you're just trying to have a site where people can find you and build, and then it gives you some versatility, but it's also free. But you do have to purchase your domain. It also gives you the opportunity to have a professional email to give that credibility. It's $12 a year for your domain, if you have a specific domain, and it's $12 a year for your email. So $24 a year, you've got the credibility of a professional email, and then the domain for your website, and then the Google sites and stuff like that is free. So you can build it directly on that. And I teach that class here in a few weeks. So keep your eye out for that. Yes, Joe.
I just got, if it's okay, I would.
No, you're totally fine. That's why we're here. I welcome anything.
Here. Yeah, I'm available for work if anybody needs a website, and I specialize in the easy, simple ones.
Very
but
cool.
I use Webflow, and it's got amazing tools that allows the user to be able to go in and edit afterwards too. So you're not stuck paying me to do the work all the time.
That is my favorite thing. So anytime you do a website, if you have somebody else build it for you, make sure you know how to go in and make those changes and adjustments. Again, I use myself as the poster child for everything done wrong, right? That wealth management beautiful site I talked about before was worthless to me because one of the things is it was built on a platform that I couldn't adjust myself. I didn't know about it, so I was always stuck paying the developer to make adjustments and fix it, and it was big
Yeah.
money. It was to the
Yeah.
tune of like almost $80,000 by the time it was
Yeah.
over multiple years, but
Yeah.
by the time we were figuring out how much we were paying for that site between the hosting, and they did more stuff than just they did multiple things, but still it was expensive, and we should have been able to do that ourselves. Exactly. Wowzers, exactly. But when you're headlong in business and you're running 90 miles an hour, sometimes you just do what you got to do to get by, and that's what we did. So I always, from now on, after that experience, tell everybody, make sure you can edit your own site. You're not stuck to one person. Joe, where are you located at?
I was just going to type that in. You can find me at joewebbuilder.com.
Okay. What state are you in?
Utah.
Utah. Awesome. What part?
St. George.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Will you send that information to me? I've got to go. I actually am late for another meeting. I tend to do that at my 10 o'clock meeting. Very cool. Send that information to me. I'd also like to know more about your services because we don't have any web developers out where we're at. And so if you can send me an email with some more information, that would be great.
Thank you so much. This has been very educational. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. I hope it was valuable. And like I said, there's an hour. We can't possibly go over all your questions, but hopefully it gets you started. And then I'm here every week. So feel free to hop on and ask whatever questions you've got. And then, oh, that's .mcfall, not comma McFall. Anyway, I hop on every week. And then also, if you have any further questions or anything like that, depending on where you're located, I could help anybody, but depending on where you're located might limit what I can do for you too. So feel free to check that out. So you guys have a wonderful day. I've got to get on to my other meeting. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week for Grow with Google. Have a good one. Bye.